It definitely
the
pushes you out of your
page.
comfort zone. Social media does. And I agree with you that like personal branding matters more than professional branding on social media.
Hello and welcome back to the Lakeshore Video Podcast. My name is George Nix, and with me today is Paige Szymczak of Paige Kennedy Photography.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome. I wanted to do this podcast because you are sort of jumping off into this new business. You've been a photographer for many years now, but this is your first time going full-time photography.
Correct.
Okay, cool. So I wanted to talk to you about this because I know that is like a big jump, and that's kind of like scary, for a lot of people. A lot of creatives, they'll do this on the side for many years. I did that too. I worked a job in Chicago for 5 years before taking the leap of faith and going full time into like photo video for myself. And it was an extremely like stressful and scary experience for me. So I just wanted to get your take on that. And we have some other questions that I think your potential clients or current clients might want to hear about these questions as well. So first things first, like what got you into photography?
Yeah. So I've been doing photography, like you mentioned, as a hobby for 10 years. I still do work full time in corporate and human resources, but the goal is definitely to have 2 full-time jobs, I guess you call it that. So like I do plan on taking photography full time. That's the goal this year, is to get it there, but not to leave corporate yet. So yeah.
Let's say, so you're still doing both.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I want to build it alongside, to your
Yeah.
point, first. But yeah, I've been doing it for 10 years as a hobby. So I started back in like 2015, 2016. And honestly, I think that it was just kind of like, it fell into my lap. Like my parents got me a camera for Christmas one year, and I really enjoyed it. So I always was snapping pictures just with my friends or with family. So yeah, I guess asking for the camera was my first kind of like gut instinct to try it. Not guarantee that you're gonna like it or want to go anywhere with it. But yeah, after I got that first camera, I just took it from there. I was charging people for senior photos. I would take pictures of like landscape, nature. We own property, my family, out in South Haven, Michigan. So like being on the beach, taking pictures. Yeah, it was just always kind of around. So yeah.
Nice. What was your first experience like charging someone for photos?
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part. I was a junior in high school, so I was charging my friends' parents. So that was like the hardest part, is establishing your worth. And even now, taking this, seriously and launching a business, you definitely have to know your quality. So then it was, what it was, and people would, pay me because they knew me. So I would always say like, oh, don't worry about it. I'll just get these pictures done for practice or for experience, or, oh, you're like my best friend, I'm not going to charge you, but their parents would always pay me. So yeah, I mean, I think naturally, because your warm market wants to support you, that the pay could come in. But now being in the business space and launching my model call and having, booked out through March at this point already, with January being the launch, it was definitely something that I wanted to do at a discount first, just to get back on my feet, build a new portfolio, and feel comfortable charging people again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a business. It is what it is. You're making money. You're spending your time and effort doing it. Editing takes a lot behind the scenes. So that's what you're charging for.
Yeah. When I first started like actually charging clients, I kind of was like, is this okay? Like, am I doing something like good enough to warrant charging? So that's something that like, it's hard to navigate when you first get started, especially with like running a business. You're like, how much do I actually have to charge to turn a profit? How much of this am I working for minimum wage right now? Like,
Right. Yeah,
So,
market research was helpful
yeah.
too. Just because obviously, like when you upgrade your equipment and you have 10 years of experience, even though it wasn't necessarily like professional experience at that time, I didn't have a social media, I wasn't building a business. You're still building your portfolio, you're building experience. So,
Yeah.
you have a leg up to go out there and start shooting photos over a beginner photographer. Although I'm a beginner professional, I'm not a beginner photographer. So I think that was helpful too for me to like kind of, be like, you could do this, you could charge this, like your photos are good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's awesome. So I didn't realize that you're still working a full-time job. I thought that you were taking the leap and going full-time into this. So are you basically working 2 full-time jobs right now? Like, is that
yeah, that's going to be how it goes for sure.
how do you enjoy that? Is it fun?
It's a balance, but yeah, it's fun. I mean, my degree is in organizational leadership within human resource focus. So, like, that degree is pretty specific, and human resources in general is very administrative. So, if anything, like being, involved with interviewing people and recruiting and being involved in so much admin has actually helped be able to book your business and
Mm.
to keep your time management, get your clients, have that seamless, like, back and forth communication, email etiquette, all that stuff. So, if anything, it helps.
Yeah, yeah, and you work in HR, so that's like you got to be very organized for that stuff.
Yes,
So
organized and sophisticated.
I I like to tell like beginner photographers like when it comes to like running a business, it is a business. It's not just like you're having fun all the time. Like you have to stay organized, make sure you have like your leads list like all ready to go and you can reach out to them, make sure that like if anybody reaches out to you, you get back to them quickly, things like that. But there's a lot that goes into just the organization behind the scenes of just like, okay, have I been paid by this person yet? Or did this person actually book? Just like, do you use any kind of CRM or any systems like that?
Yeah, I invested in Pixie Set.
Oh, okay.
Again, just market research and asking a couple other people like what they've found successful. And then obviously like the internet helps you do a lot of research too, just getting people's opinions out on TikTok. I did some market research on what the best program would be and how to deliver galleries and just keep track of everything. Yeah, on the business side. So far I like it. I've delivered, within, the last month, 4 galleries on Pixie Set, and I have a couple others booked out through February and March. So yeah, so far I like it.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's one of the things that you got to navigate. And I personally, maybe I'm a little weird with this, but I just like spreadsheets. So I just use like Google Sheets and everything's on
Yeah.
spreadsheets. And I have, internal links to different documents and stuff. All my contracts are on Google. So I don't use any kind of like typical CRM. I'm just like Google everything. I deliver everything on the Google Drive,
Oh, nice.
all that stuff. But I deliver video. So it's like, it takes a lot of space, and I just found Google is kind of the cheapest way to go for like I get 2 terabytes of space and I pay like $15 a month or something like that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I have a
Super.
professional email, George@lakeshorevideo.com, all that stuff. So I that's why I stick with Google, but I know like photographers, there's so many different CRMs I use because I'm in a few different groups on Facebook. Have you actually joined Facebook groups to like get leads?
Yeah. Yeah. So I started building my Facebook page beginning of January. Same thing with Instagram. And to that point, Facebook has definitely been the more fun like side of, getting leads and getting clients. Joining all of like this, Northwest Indiana moms or Cedar Lake and St. John, like Cherryville, like every surrounding town, Chesterton. I just kind of joined all the happenings, like what's going on and
Hmm.
like life and Northwest Indiana life. So yeah, I've been posting on that. It's been super helpful. Gotten a couple of reach outs that way. And also I think that also just shows you like, how other people post as well. So you can kind of get inspiration or an idea of what's allowed in what group, because every group has different rules, of course. But
Yeah, I find it hard to navigate. Like, when am I allowed to post like in different groups? Like,
yeah.
The Valpo groups. I think you can post business posts on like Thursdays, or some are on Tuesdays. There's like Crown Point groups, like all kinds of groups. But what's sort of like your main types of photography that you do? Because there's so much out there. But what's your core?
Yeah,
What do
the
you?
focus is definitely more couples and family. I've done everything. I've done landscape, I've done portraits, I've done real estate, I've done branding, I've done merch and product. I've also shot an album cover for a musician out in Indianapolis a couple years ago. So I've had a wide variety of experience, but I like couples and families. It's just more intimate. It's more fun. I think you get a quicker reward too, like just as a photographer, just knowing that you made, somebody's day, or like your kids get to be on your wall, they get to frame it, they get gifted, all that stuff. So
Yeah, yeah, it can definitely be rewarding. Like just knowing that you're kind of creating memories for them.
yeah.
I personally don't really do a lot of families. I used to do weddings, but I I do weddings for video now. I used to do wedding photos, but it's just so stressful.
I have not dabbled in weddings yet. I did a micro wedding for my closest friend. She eloped on the beach in Michigan. So I'm second shooting for a couple of weddings this season. And I think that's going to be a great start. I'm not against weddings, but I think like starting out, like, yeah, portraits on families and couples will be an easy way into like what you want to do full time.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I would say like for weddings, in particular, you got to be outgoing.
Yes.
That's like I'm sort of like a reserved, introverted type of person. I try to be like as outgoing as possible when I'm like on the job and stuff, but after doing so many weddings, I decided, you know what, it's too stressful for me to do photos. So I'd rather be video because I can like shoot over the shoulder, the photographer, kind of whisper to the photographer, like, hey, can you get him to do this real quick? Get him to jump
You're
over there.
behind the scenes.
Yeah, yeah.
Instructing.
Because when it comes to a wedding, I don't like to have too many people, like too many cooks in the kitchen, like too many people directing, especially with the bridal party. You'll have like a giant, maybe 15 people there. And if you have multiple people directing, like telling them, hey, do this, they're like, where do we look? Whose camera do we look at? You start getting people staring at the video camera.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, look at that camera, the photo camera, you know? So that's why I usually just kind of defer to the photographer and I tell them, hey, if there's any shots that I need, like I'm going to tell you and you can tell the group just so that they're always looking at you and not looking at me. Because with video,
you want it to be more candid.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I think that's important too. Like for anybody looking for photos, it's just to like your photographer or your videographer's style because everybody does have a way of editing or shooting. So yeah, instead of trying to tell them what to do, like just find something that's a good match for what you're wanting for the final vision.
Yeah, 100%. It's like, you're going to, especially on weddings, you're going to be with that person all day. You want to make sure your personalities mesh. So we kind of went into this, but this is like a list of questions that I have now that we kind of know who you are. So I'm going to re-ask this question, even if we did sort of answer it. I just want you to have some good clips for social media. So who is your ideal client and what problem are you solving for them with your photography?
I would say the ideal client is definitely either a couple or a family. And then what you're wanting to deliver and what problem you're solving for them is a gap, I guess, in updated photos. You want to present, updated photos, whether that's capturing like an engagement session or a newborn session or maternity or new family photos, like anything that you're able to give a client that'll bring them happiness and that'll obviously bring them that little like adrenaline rush. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to get this final product. Like anything that they're going to be able to post on social media, share with friends and family, put in their houses. Like I think as a photographer, like it really is customer service based. You have to think like these photos are not mine. You know what I mean? They are, but like this is for the client and these photos are gonna be on somebody else's walls, not mine. So I need to make sure that they get what they want and that they're happy with everything. So yeah.
Definitely. Do you do any kind of like branding sessions or things like that?
I have, yeah. So I have a lot of friends that are entrepreneurs, a lot of friends in like the hair space. I have a tattoo artist that's a close friend. So I just did a recent branding session with the hairstylist friend and that went great. It's all white walled backdrops, but yeah, just being able to kind of show that more like branding professional side. And then I do also have some real estate and property management like headshots coming up as well as model shots. So definitely versatile. So yeah, although my target audience is more of like the family and couples, like yeah, I could make anything happen. You just have to have the eye for it, I think, with photography.
Yeah. What's your like lead generation system? How are you getting booked so quickly?
Yeah. Okay. So Warm Market was super helpful. Obviously because your friends and family want to support you, especially with photos. Because I feel like with photography and with social media, like it's never going to go away. If anything, it's just getting started. These next couple of years. So I think that like all of my friends are going through different lifestyles, milestones. So that was helpful. I have a lot of people that are newly engaged, pregnant, getting married. So like I'm doing a lot of engagement sessions, maternity, families. So yeah, just honestly probably right time.
Yeah.
And then also like as far as leads, Facebook has been helpful too. Just public leads for people I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's great. So again, this is something that we kind of went over this, but what services and packages do you currently offer and how did you arrive at your pricing?
Yeah, so right now, as far as like the launch for Paige Kennedy Photography, I did discounted sessions. So right now I'm doing $150 per hour or $75 for a 30-minute session, which honestly is like a really low starting budget package for photography. That's what I used to charge 10 years ago when I was doing senior photos. So I kind of just started there because you want to be able to build an updated portfolio. You want to build client relationships. You want to be able to prove yourself a little bit. I don't think that coming out swinging, you know what I mean, with like high prices and nothing to show for it is the best approach. So I just want to connect with people and, offer them discounted sessions. So yeah, I kind of arrived at that just as a launch, like through March of 2026, I'm going to be doing those prices. I do have my investment listed on my website. So it's going to be starting more at like the 225, 300 range per hour once spring hits. But yeah, just as like a starting launch promotion, just wanted to kind of start small and like give myself room to grow and evolve. And you could always change your prices, but you can't really lower them. So I just want to be able to evolve naturally instead of like be too business mindset driven, if that makes sense. I don't want to be like money focused. I just want to build better relationships and have fun and get practice myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. That's when you're starting off, like everybody does discounted rates. I honestly still to this day will do something for free if it's an experiment.
Yeah.
If it's something that like, I don't know if this is going to work, but hey, do you mind if I like come take some photos or come do some video for you? And everybody's always very receptive to that. Like I just did one last weekend where I was like trying to figure out a way to offer video packages to musicians for a little bit cheaper. And I was testing out some different camera rigs that I decided to not use that. I still gave it to the band for free because it was a friend of mine, but I was like, yeah, you can use this, but just know like this is not my best work,
Well, and that's the thing too. As long as you're upfront and honest, you're like, hey, I'm practicing. If you could be patient with me as I adjust my lighting and I'm learning. I've done a couple free sessions as well. But yeah, so it's just kind of like as long as you're honest with people, I feel like they're like more supportive when you are being more real instead of being more rigid.
Yeah,
I learned that even just through
and they'll come back as clients later too.
That's the goal, is to have people that see you like start and then like continue to grow with you.
Yeah. We've already answered this. Just how are you getting clients? We'll skip that question. What part of running the business has been hardest so far outside of taking photos?
Yeah, honestly, I think that it's just the balance of everything, because when you're passionate about something, and especially like in an entrepreneur mindset, I have practice with this because I used to run a podcast myself a couple years ago, and I've also sold on social media. I partner with a company called Arbonne, so I sell products online too that are health and wellness luxury. So like it's always been a hard balance to learn like what times you want to do it, right? Because if you're working a full-time job 9 to 5, it does box you in on what you can do, and you have to figure out like the nooks and crannies of your day. And like, you also don't want to spend all of your evenings after work still working. But like as an entrepreneur, when you're starting something, you kind of always are on. So even like while you're on your way to another shoot or while you're waiting for your clients to get there, like I am messaging people back, I'm sending like contracts. So yeah, I think right now it's kind of just not having the structure yet and just kind of being like fully invested and just like on all the time.
Yeah.
But that'll come with, practice and balance.
I personally struggle with like knowing when to stop working.
Yeah.
It's like my phone can run my whole business at this point. So I pretty much am always like, even when I'm just like sitting around, like I'll be on Facebook scrolling, trying to find like potential clients on there. Cause there's always people, in
Facebook is definitely
all the different groups. And that's something like I notice if I don't go hard on Facebook, like trying to find clients like in those groups and stuff, then my website visits kind of drop off a cliff. So it's like it boosts your SEO just by getting people to go to your website. So it's like when they have all those, even if I see something that I'm like, yeah, I know they're probably not going to hire me, I still put my website in there because then people click on it.
Right.
And
it drives the views.
It drives more, more clicks, more views. And when it comes to my website in particular, like that's where I make all my sales. I make the sales on the website. Like I rarely get people who direct message me from Facebook or Instagram. Most of the time I try to funnel them to my website so that they can see like all of my work in a like nice curated way. And then once they email me, it's easier for me to contact people via email.
Right.
Because it keeps it organized.
Yeah.
If I have people on all the different apps, like I'm trying to message back and forth, I always just tell them, hey, can you email me real quick?
I've done that pretty quickly too. I'm glad you said that because I think that was super helpful. Just like I said, having other friends that are entrepreneurs and getting that advice, like drive it to the email, because then you also have like the HR and me, like you have like the chain of proof and you have the paper trail and it helps organization. But yeah, and then also like to your point too with adding on to that is just like, I think that a lot of photographers, a lot of creatives like batch things, and I'm not there yet. I'm so excited when I get home from the photo shoot because I am like newer, and I'm like reinvesting in myself and like igniting that passion again. So like I'm going home and editing them right away, and like I'm having like a 12-hour turnaround time for clients right now. That's not realistic forever. So eventually I'll definitely get better at batching editing and doing everything all at once instead of like doing it like per shoot. But yeah, so that'll come with the growth.
Yeah, for sure. Have you seen like any sort of change in the industry with AI? Do you utilize that in your photography?
Yeah, so yes, I've definitely seen a difference. No, I don't necessarily use it. I'm not saying that I never will, but like I think for me, especially when you're developing your style and you're like retraining your brain how to edit again, because it's been a couple of years. I've always shot like sessions on and off throughout the last 10 years, people's graduations or friends and family, but it hasn't ever been like I need to be invested in Lightroom again. I need to update my skills. It's kind of just been like more lax and like, free photo shoots, like I said, or really low paying prices. So I never really had the reason to really dive into the editing side before. But now that I have been, it's definitely interesting because I think you could tell personally. I could tell when photographers use AI. I could tell when backgrounds aren't truly the background.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go that route personally yet. It definitely could help. Like I know that there's certain tools within Lightroom that are AI driven that will like help you recognize subjects better, help you remove things better. I don't really necessarily consider that AI because you're still selecting what you're removing and you're still doing the work. But yeah, no, I definitely have seen it. I think that it's great. It gives a great option for things, but I also think that it's a little dangerous for social media personally, just depending on like what route it's going and like what topic it's coming underneath. But as far as photography goes, like I'm not saying I'll never use it. I just don't plan on starting that way. I want to have my own skills and knowledge. I want to have my own eye. I want to have my own editing style and presets. I want to develop that like myself first. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just hard on myself. I'm definitely hard on myself. So like kind of a perfectionist in that way where like I want to know that this is me. I don't want to just, think people think that I'm good because AI is doing it for you. Like, no, this is me putting in this work. I'm removing the hairs, like the flyaways, like the random dogs and footprints in the background. Like it's all me.
Yeah. And I mean, I am kind of in the boat of like, I don't really like AI too much, like, but I do use it a little bit. Like you said, cleaning things up, like that's awesome. Anything that speeds up your workflow, that's where I really enjoy it. But one thing that like kind of shied me away from, again, weddings, in the photo side of it is the editing is just intense on a wedding. You have like 3,000 photos to go through, and you got to whittle that down to like less than 1,000.
Yeah. And you have the equipment to hold all of that and be able to do it successfully too.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah. And so one thing that I've been looking into that like could possibly get me back into doing photos for weddings is AI, what do they call it? Culling. So like AI culling, where it selects the good photos, basically. I haven't like found one that works well just yet.
Yeah.
But I'm like excited for the future of it, because if it can take that sort of like editing off my plate, and honestly, at this point in my career, I'd be fine if I could just like upload a few examples of like how I want it to look.
Right.
And it'll just make all of them look like that, make all the photos look good. I'd be into it, because I'm really more of a shooter rather than an editor. Like I don't enjoy sitting at the computer for hours and hours. Like I tried to get into photo and video to get away from that side of the business, because like I said, I worked in IT, and I worked in a call center. I worked in marketing in Chicago. So actually, first it was call center, then IT, then marketing. But I didn't really enjoy being on the computer all day. So I'm like, the more I can get AI to sort of do that like grunt work for me, like the more I'm gonna.
I've heard good things about Aftershoot, like what you're saying with the culling process, and I haven't looked into it. And I'm sure it's pretty pricey to have it, but yeah, I mean, you have to do what's best for you. And I know, some people also pass their photos off to other photographers that do editing for them. So everybody's workflow is different. And I think that like from a client's perspective or like a non-photographer eye, like it all looks the same. Like as long as the photo looks good at the end, I don't think people think too much into it. But I do think that there's a lot of like integrity and respect to like doing everything yourself. I also feel that way about music. Like I've always felt that way about like, you hear about artists writing their own lyrics and not, going for help in other places. So I think that just comes with like a preference thing. There's no right way.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's like, I think you need to know the basics. You need to understand what you're trying to achieve
Right.
before you can like start using the AI to like help you achieve it. You know, it's like there is something to be said about like someone who's never been able to rely on those AI tools and stuff. Like
Yeah.
they're going to be better, I think, than someone who's like just leaning right into that
Yeah.
beginning.
You have to have a foundation.
Yes, yeah, for
I
sure.
agree.
Um, okay, so we kind of went over all of these different questions. Where do you see or where do you want the business to be in the next 12 months?
In the next 12 months, I definitely want to be fully booked. I think that everybody's version of fully booked is different, but for me, I'm basing mine off weekends because I am working, 9 to 5 still. I do still have my corporate role. So yeah, I'm spending a lot of Saturdays and Sundays with photography. So yeah, I would like to see almost every weekend, booked, if not 4 out of 4 weekends a month, 3. So yeah, I definitely want that. I want the social media growth. And I just want to be able to connect with more people because I do think that there's, you have your warm market, you have your starters, you have people that know you. It's all word of mouth. That's how you're going to get clients when you have reviews and trusted, gallery deliveries. So yeah, I definitely want to be able to build social media just to connect with people further and not rely on just my warm market or Northwest Indiana. I do want to expand into Southwest Michigan. But yeah, I would just like to see like what for me success looks like is just being like proud of myself to see where it goes and not too worried about like the outside noise. But eventually I do want to open my own studio. That's like the long-term goal.
Mhm.
And I do want to be a published photographer, in magazines and be able to, just show and be able to show your work and be able to connect with more people further away and travel and see crazy things. Like, I just think that's like the dream. But
Yeah.
for now, in the next 12 months, like, I just want to have a steady first year and I want to see my own like self growth and editing and even just interacting with people, being able to pose and direct the shoots. Like, there's a lot behind the scenes that you have to do. So yeah, I would like to see that growth first.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. What do you think about social media? Like, do you think it's necessary to run a photography business?
I don't think social media is ever necessary, but I think it's definitely a tool. Like, I've always thought that way. I've had like a love-hate relationship with social media, this past 6 years, even like coming out of college, because, it is like an online, resume in a way,
Mhm.
depending on what platform you're using. So it gives you the opportunity to connect with people everywhere and to build communities or to create. But it also has the opportunity to isolate you if you get too caught up in it. So I've just had like a back and forth view on it. I think it's a tool. And as long as people use it as a tool, like, it's going to skyrocket your business, no doubt,
Mhm.
because it drives, sales. And if you're going from like an attraction marketing perspective and you're catching people's attention, it's going to work for sure. But I just, you hate to meet somebody in person that's like completely opposite of how they present themselves on
Yeah,
social media. It's
yeah.
kind of like a catfish situation. So I'm just always careful with it personally. But yeah, I do think it should be a good tool.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I I kind of used it as a resume for a long time, and it wasn't till probably in the last 6 months or so that I kinda started talking to a lot more people because of this podcast. I started talking to a lot more people like Selah,
Mm.
and, a few other people in the area that, like, run marketing type businesses, and I realized this is not just, a portfolio anymore. It's good to have like some of your work on there, but you really want to like connect with people and try to like offer good information
Yeah.
and stuff that's gonna get more views and stuff like that. Because I used to not care about views. I used to be like, oh, I just post my work, and then if somebody wants to see my work, I'll send them there. But really, that's what my website is for,
Yeah.
is a portfolio. It's like on social media, you almost want to deliver more than what people like expect. So like for me, I don't have to do like where I do this podcast and I talk about the industry and I talk about all the pitfalls that issues that I've run into and like how I solve those issues and stuff like that. I don't have to do that, but that's going to grow my audience and it's going to get me more respect,
Yeah.
like because they see that you went through all that stuff. So it's like when you grow an audience, you're boosting your SEO now, because like social media until last summer, social media wasn't really tied in with your website and stuff.
Right.
It wasn't being indexed by Google. And last summer they started indexing it. So now I started taking social media more seriously and started like asking a lot of people like, how like, how important is this, and how can I grow my social media? Because like I just didn't know how to do it before.
Right.
And just by doing this podcast alone, like it's boosted my SEO, boosted like now my website went from like maybe 50 visits a month to like over 300 a month, just because I started doing this podcast. And my followers on Instagram went from like 700 to I think 1122 or something is what I'm at
That's
now.
awesome.
Just
Yeah.
in like 6 months. So
Good for you. No, that's
it's
huge.
and it's just doing like one podcast a month maybe. And
Yeah.
that's it. Like
It
that's
definitely
the
pushes you out of your
page.
comfort zone. Social
Yeah.
media does. And I agree with you that like personal branding matters more than professional branding on social media. I think that's why TikTok got so famous so fast, even though it's short term. I think that people are just able to be more educational and informative and just give more like reality clips about things and be less polished. And I think now like that's definitely transforming the world of social media. But as far as photography goes, like I definitely see your socials as being a portfolio. Like I don't see you sharing your personal life or like being any like sort of personality necessarily on your
Yeah.
photography page. That's why you link your personal and you build a personal brand on the side.
Yeah.
You give like those like behind the scenes and you give that, client backdrop so they can see what you're doing and how well you're like receiving things and the backdrops you're building, the effort, the editing. But like as far as we click on a photography page, like I want to see the work. I don't really care about
Yeah.
the person necessarily. I want to see the
That's
consistency.
that's what Instagram was made for, was photographers. Like
Yeah.
it used to just be that grid, like that's all that mattered, was having that nice layout.
Visco was back in the
Yeah.
day too. I miss that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely think that there's pros and
It's
cons, but I like
but
your view on it.
it's like one of the biggest photographers in Chicago. I can't remember what her name is right now, but I found her because of social media, and she just goes super hard in like the behind the scenes type stuff.
Mhm.
And she'll like bring a videographer on her shoots just to like talk about what she's doing and
See,
stuff.
that's awesome. If
Yeah,
you
and
have that professionalism and you have like the equipment and the time and you're riding on it, like this is your whole life, and
Yeah.
I get it. I think attraction marketing goes in trends too. And like you saw like how everybody loves like the day in the life and the get ready with me's, and then it like fades and it transfers to
Yeah.
something different. So yeah, I think like consistency matters and just the action, like to your point, like dropping a podcast once a month, and getting your name out there and being able to build things, but like not getting too caught up if your socials aren't doing well or you're not getting the views. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't value. That's not your it's not your worth.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's like you can run a business without having a bunch of followers, like
Yeah.
I do it. I mean, I've been growing my followers just because I've kind of noticed like bigger brands want to work with people who have followers. It's
Yeah.
weird, but like I work in Chicago, like in the corporate scene a lot, and I've noticed my buddy who like really tries to get followers, like that's all he does with his socials, is like specifically every post is made to get followers.
Mhm.
It's not made like to really even showcase his work. It's more so like he does, for instance, he does like these like check out this venue type of videos where he's like, this venue is really good for bands performing and stuff, and like they got this stage over here, there's a bar over here, this thing is cool. Those type of videos do really well.
Yeah.
I think because it's tagging a location.
Yeah.
like
You're driving business to something else. It's not just you.
but so like he'll like throw in at the very end like, and this is what the shots look like.
Yeah.
And you can hire
for
me.
more.
Yeah. So he's like, he's really promoting that business and that space almost like a realtor would. And then at the very end, he's like, also I do video,
Mhm.
So he's actually does really well with that. And he's like been working with some really big brands and stuff. I think just because he has a lot of followers.
Yeah.
So that's what kind
Which is amazing. Like you got to have like your intention and your why behind it. And like, hey, when you have that and you run with it, it works. So
Yeah. So that's why I personally have been putting a little more effort into trying to get like views and followers and stuff like that. Like actually looking into strategies and like what is going to get views, what isn't, because it's constantly changing. Like you said, like there's trends and things like that. But at the end of the day, I still think giving good information that's useful is always going to be relevant. And it's not a trend, that's not like, that's why I think podcasting is here to stay, because it's not really a trend. Like it's just people having conversations.
long form content is probably never going to go away again. I feel like YouTube started that and then it fell off a little bit with like vlogging and stuff. But now podcasting is just like the world that we live in nowadays. And I like that. Like I would rather listen to people talk for an hour and get the behind the scenes and get to know people. So I agree with that. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I also think like with this surge of AI content that's out there, it's like having a podcast where you can tell it's not AI, it's just
Mhm.
refreshing. It's like that's an actual person. I know that person in real life. Like that's kind of refreshing to like get perspectives that are not just AI slop.
Yeah, I know. I agree totally.
Yeah. So was there anything else you wanted to add about your business?
Outside of just being newer and launching a discounted session, just being excited. Yeah, I think that that's like the hardest part about launching something new is people not knowing like what it really takes to like make it in anything. It could not just photography and literally anything. So yeah, I think that the first year is the most important year for people, and you definitely see like where it's going to go and the trajectory based off of those first 12 months. So super important for me to be able to do what I can outside of my own schedule and to be able to deliver and meet new people and create relationships. So I'm just excited about all of it. Excited to meet new people I wouldn't have
Yeah.
met you without
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
here to
Mhm.
do some photo shoots. So yeah.
And where can people find your work?
Yeah. So on Instagram, it is Paige Kennedy Photo. And then Facebook is Paige Kennedy Photography. And then my personal is Paige_Kennedy with 3 Ys.
And do you have a website?
I do. It's also Pixie Set, so it's Paige Kennedy Photography .pixie set, and I'll link that. It's on all of my socials. My website, just because Pixie Set, it's kind of a long URL, so
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
it linked in my bio on my
Cool.
website and on my Facebook.
Cool. Awesome. Well, it's been great talking to you. I think we learned some cool stuff today.
Yes, thank
And
you.
everybody at home, go check her out. She does some awesome work. And you have a session right after this.
Yes, I do.
Here at the studio.
10 minutes.
So yeah, this is the podcast side, but there's photography studio on the other side.
We were doing some model headshots today, so
Yeah, in the white room.
yes.
Very nice. Very
Yes.
nice. All right. Well, you guys take it easy. And until next time, this has been Lakeshore Video Podcast.
Thank you.